What is your name again? We just met at the gym last week.
My name is Brendan.
Yo, here's the key to this. Don't try to be funny, man. I'm the funny guy. We're here to learn about you. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No. You can be funny all you want. All right, no, that's cool. We'll get the juices flowing. Yeah. I'm gonna do the official introduction now.
Good.
Hey, listen, welcome to the Do You Podcast graduation series. This is another one that we're delving into the years of career transition, whether it's high school to college to the real world, or job to business to job, whatever. I talk about these transitional moments to people who have made it, who have went through these times of uncertainty and came out on top. And in this particular episode, I talked to what I coined the Kanye West of beef jerky. And interesting about this person, Brendan Cawley, we met at the gym. I knew of his business, and I don't know if you've ever walked up to a random dude in the gym, but it's an intimidating place. People aren't so inviting, so it was fun for the conversation to actually happen because he was literally like deadlifting, and I said, "Hey, I like your beef jerky," and now he's on the show, and I don't know. I think that's a cool way to get someone on a podcast. So I'm stoked for you to be able to hear this conversation about how he went from selling helicopters to getting his beef jerky with a twist into over 800 stores. So I welcome you, Brendan Cawley. All right, so talk to me, man. Give me the burgers and fries of Brendan Cawley. Who are you and where are you from?
Burgers and fries.
Yeah, the burgers and fries, the essentials.
About myself, or are we talking Righteous Felon here?
No, about yourself. Yeah, you could use Righteous Felon, but give me, if I'm at a barbecue right now and I don't know who you are, give me a rundown.
I'm essentially a 30-year-old washed-up athlete from the area.
And you're dealing with a lot of pains and injuries right now.
Receding hairline that I battle with each morning.
That's why your brand sells hats now, conveniently.
That's right. No, I grew up in Downingtown, the next town over from here.
Here is Westchester, Pennsylvania,
Westchester, PA.
And we're right outside of Philadelphia.
So I grew up in Downingtown, played basketball, through high school there. Ended up going to East Stroudsburg University, and I played basketball there for a couple years.
Fantastic state school.
It's the Harvard of the Poconos.
Exactly.
Is what only we call it.
Harvard.
So I went there. Was there for 5 years. I studied abroad for half a year over in Australia with some of my good friends.
Okay.
Came back, finished at ESU. And then I moved back home here to Downingtown, and then ultimately to Westchester.
Okay, and you are a businessman. How did you fall into the fabulous world of beef jerky? Tell me about that. The transition after college into that.
Right. So after college, I actually worked. I worked up until about a year ago. I guess it's 2 years ago now. At Sikorsky Aircraft, which is outside of Coatesville.
Would you call that a real job?
That was what I would call a real job.
On paper, that made a lot of people in your family proud of you for.
People were pleased that
benefits?
I had that job. Yeah, I had benefits. Yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
It was a real life job. I felt like a real person there for a while. It was a cool. As far as real jobs go, or real world jobs. That was probably the coolest one I could have asked for. It's a place.
Awesome.
It's a place that builds, if you know, like the Black Hawk helicopter, like you've seen like Black Hawk Down and whatnot. That's the company that builds like the world's premier helicopters, and they built them right there in Coatesville.
Were you building helicopters?
I built them, most of them there by myself. Yeah, no, I was a finance. I was just a finance
you're
nerd
a geek.
there.
Now, how do you go from building helicopters? A company that builds helicopter. Wait,
right.
To slinging jerky.
So the jerky.
You're like he's on like all the street corners in the area, just like with backpack fulls of. How do you make that transition?
Well, that's actually, honestly, that's kind of how we got started. Only that was like back in middle school. So basically, I learned.
You got started in your entrepreneurial business spirit through beef jerky, or you saying the helicopters?
So when I was real young, like 11, I had an uncle who worked out in Pittsburgh. He worked at like the steel mills out there, and he kind of had this little jerky hustle going on at the mill where he would make jerky in his basement and just sell it to friends and stuff at the mill, and he taught me how to do it, and I got super into it as like a 10, 11-year-old.
Yeah.
And so when I got home, I bought a little rink-a-dink dehydrator and just started, experimenting with stuff. I was a real weird kid. Like, I would do stuff like that a lot.
You're a weird adult.
I would, like, tie my own fly fishing ties but never go fly fishing.
Yeah.
Like, real weird stuff. And so I would just keep working with that, and then I got, kind of good at it, I guess, and my friends and stuff would want to buy, beef jerky off of me as, like, a little 10-year-old beef jerky maker. And
what was the name of your brand at the time?
I don't think I had a brand back then. I don't think I even knew what a brand was.
Yeah. You were just doing it for the passion.
Yeah. But so I would sell it to my boys, and then they would start to kind of sell. But by the end of it, we were selling beef jerky like all over Downingtown Middle School.
So when did that stop?
So that stopped. So we kind of got caught. So we would be selling literally like dime bags,
of
cash,
jerky,
like hand to hands.
Oh my goodness!
Little bags of jerky in exchange for cash, like in the bathrooms. And
what, like a jerky narc catch someone?
Yeah, well,
like,
a teacher snatched me and Tucker up one day, and thought for sure that it was like that I was selling Tucker drugs and whatnot. And Tucker's one of my best friends. He's one of the partners of Righteous Found.
Okay.
And of course, we explained it, and the teacher, tried a piece, and he's like, okay, well, I guess you guys are right or whatever. But at first it was going to be this big stink about us. He caught us selling weed in the bathroom. So that whole misunderstanding was just hilarious to us, even as kids, and it actually stuck with us. Like through the years, we weren't making jerky as much through the years, like high school and stuff. But anytime we did,
sometimes you gotta put the trade down,
Like, you gotta walk away.
You gotta walk away
from the game.
It sucks you in though, the jerky. Fast life.
So, well, we'd still make it for like snowboarding trips or concerts, whatever. Like 5 of us, and these guys are all still, they're all part of the company now. They've been my best friends for a real long time. And then it didn't really. We weren't making it a ton of like that. When it got started in my actual, while I was, after I had embarked on my real life at Sikorsky, just kind of saw this stuff that was, I've always loved food a ton.
Yeah.
Food and drinking, that's kind of like what I'm good at.
Yeah,
and,
so there's your why.
Yeah. And but no, I also saw like the trend that was sort of happening with craft beer, how like finally there was people out there that were willing to kind of spend an extra $1 or $2 for an authentic product, for a product that's not mass produced and where every step hasn't been taken to minimize the cost of that product.
Yeah.
Which, and craft beer was kind of the signal of that, because people were now spending 2-3 times on a beer what they typically would for the national brands that dominate the market.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of an indicator that that there was a space for a real product, like a homemade type product, in the market. And we thought really that the people who buy jerky are very similar to those that buy beer, I think. It's typically it's like a middle-aged dude who is buying beer, most likely buying a snack, wants something salty, sweet with some protein. It's like kind of like a steak in your pocket. So we just kind of rolled with it.
Pocket steaks.
That was the Righteous Felon 1.
Yeah.
Beat out Pocket Steaks by 1 vote. When we were naming the company.
Is that a true story?
No. No.
Oh shit.
I
don't know. I mean, given the description on the back, I don't know what I can believe anymore, man.
Yeah.
There's the whole story and the copy and the branding that goes with it it's elaborate. And how did you start to steer that direction? How did you are you coming up with these concepts, or is it the whole squad? Is that you?
That is me.
You
This is actually when I got to do take.
You can take that call. It's important, guys.
Hey, Jimmy.
Hey man, so are we good? Everything taken care of?
We are back. The shipment.
That's what happens when you run your own gig, man.
I know that all too well by now.
How often do you get phone calls like that and like important stuff going down?
Things typically run pretty smoothly. There's definitely
You got the
there's
ship
definitely-
automated?
there's a lot automated. There's definitely always issues though.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, let's jump back in now. Where were we? I have no idea. I wasn't listening.
think
I
we
was
were
actually
kinda
thinking
asking-
about Kobe from last night, but
60 man. That was crazy.
that was crazy.
I stayed up to watch the Warriors, and then they switched over to Kobe, and they were like, Kobe has 56 points in his last. I was like, what?
Yeah. Oh man, that was insane.
And
I
then my little-
was on my couch and I was like, I can't believe I'm just cheering and screaming for Kobe Bryant right now.
I
You know.
Yeah.
All right. Enough sports. Let's get back into it. So,
Yeah,
yo,
yeah.
this is what I want you to do. All right, I want you to brag real quick about your brand. I know it's not something you would typically do. I want some highlights, some moments where you're like, I'm proud of this situation. You know, like how many stores are you in? You know, like things like
Okay.
that.
Yeah. This phone call, depending on how this phone call goes, this one that we had to just break away for, we'll be in between 600 and 800, I could say, by the end of this month.
600 and 800
We're at about
stores.
600 now, yeah. And that's primarily, I guess one of the cool things about the brand or the company and kind of, you know, my friends that I run it with and my brothers is like most other food companies need a distributor to
Yeah.
distribute their product because it's either, you know, if it's a liquid, it's too heavy to ship. If it's in glass, it's too heavy to ship and it'll break.
There's
If
a lot of variables.
Yeah, if it's bread or, you know, cookies, they only have like a, you know, a
Short window,
2 week
yeah.
shelf life. So you need distributors to actually connect you with all these stores. For the most part, out of all those 600, 800 stores, we just cold call, walked in the joints, you know, had relationships, leveraged all our, you know, our networks of people that we know around the
Yeah.
country, and we just sell direct to these places, which is really unique in like the startup food world.
Okay.
Because of that, because jerky doesn't have any of those kind of limitations like shelf life.
You
or
can be in a lot of places.
shipping costs. I mean, we just FedEx everything around the country.
Yeah.
Which is expensive for a heavier food. It's such a lightweight food, and it's a, you know, rather expensive food, not just our product, but jerky in general, that you can justify the shipping cost because the overall price of the product is high enough to justify that cost. So that's something I'm actually really proud of, is the way that, you know, we've grown the brand ourselves. No, you know, none of us being from the food industry.
Yeah.
None of us really even being sales guys. Just a couple guys with like a, you know,
With an idea.
an idea and kind of, you know, a product that we have a lot of pride in, and you know, that we you know, make sure, you know, hits the right quality standards, and people eat it up. You know, literally people dig it.
They literally dig it
Yeah.
and eat it up.
Yeah.
Because they love it so much that they bury it in their backyard so their friends don't get it.
That's right.
Then they dig it out.
Within 1 year though, otherwise it goes bad.
Okay, cool.
I always dig it
That's
up
the
within
fine print.
Always dig it up within 1 year. So other like cool,
yeah.
real cool highlights I would just say is like for us too, we're all big beer guys too.
Okay.
And all grew up in Downingtown. You know, we all went to Downingtown High. So Victory is kind of like, you know, it's kind of like the pride of Downingtown. Victory
Yeah.
Brewing Company, and you know that product there. That
And
you have in
that's
front
a
of you,
national brand. You know, they're
They're
everywhere.
international.
International, yeah.
They're now the 15th largest brewery in the country.
I did not know that.
Yeah, craft brewery.
Yeah.
But there's only a handful of non-craft breweries now.
Yeah.
So they're 17th or 18th, the largest brewery in the country. But so we actually got to do this collaboration project with them, the Storm King Imperial Jerky. So that uses like all of our favorite beer from when we were young, Storm King. And we marinate the beef in that and use another ingredient from Victory and produce this co-branded product that's become our, you know, our best seller and kind of our flagship.
Do they sell it?
Yeah, they sell it.
With that and.
Yeah, they sell it at all their locations. You know, they connect us with other other distributors that want to carry the product. So it's been a really awesome, you know, collaboration and, you know, even partnership. The owner there, Bill Kovaleski, he's been a huge help to me as, you know, trying to build a brand,
Yeah.
and build the company and take it from, you know, one level to the next. He's always a guy that I can reach out to for help, and he, you know, probably one of the busiest guys I know or could even think of, and he still makes time to like, help us out. Yeah, which is awesome.
Well, that's all interesting to me. Now, you go from a finance dude at a helicopter company, right?
Yeah.
For how many years?
I was there for 5 years, actually. Yeah.
Okay, 5 years. What gave you the right to be? What gave you the confidence? The balls to say, hey, there's something here. I'm gonna revisit my childhood sort of passion, this hobby that I had, and I'm gonna partner with the 15th biggest beer company in the world. Like what gives you the umph to do that? Insanity?
I would say no. There's definitely some of that. There's definitely naivety in not knowing what you don't know.
Yeah.
But there's also something where like Victory, even though they are such a now they've become one of the best and largest breweries in the country. Like I used to go drink root beer there after Little League games. And they were probably the smallest craft brewery in the country. So when you grow up, and you know how it is, like when you grow up with someone or something and you kind of evolve with it, where it never seems so polarizing.
Yeah.
Like, so I know all the people that work there. I went to high school with them, or like I've known who the owners were forever from when they were, when there was just this, when craft beer wasn't like the hottest topic in the country.
Yeah.
So I think it's some of that too, is that when you grow up with something, it seems much more approachable. And because I know that they do so much kind of for the local community and whatnot, so like the way we kind of presented the idea to them was really about helping, doing this local collaboration that we bring to a food company that's local and this beer company that's local, and produce something together that would benefit the local stores and like local consumers. Yeah. And as long as you I think when you present things like that to people that came from the same type of roots, they have like a soft spot for it. They know that you're just trying to get to the next level. And
I think that's partly your attitude too, which is a great one. I agree. I think a lot of people can maybe be in that situation and not understand the power that they have right in their backyard. Right. Where you leverage that and you were smart. A lot of people have that and they may think like, oh, but I'm just that kid from the neighborhood. Right. Oh, I'm not on their playing field. And you had an attitude that was different than that. And you're like, hey, we can play together out here.
Yeah, and I think that is, I think you're right there. I think that you asked about the Sikorsky thing. Working at Sikorsky for that long, I did get comfortable, and I got, I did think when I worked there, I worked for two different younger guys, but they were each the CFO at different points, and I got to work directly with them, and they became really close mentors, and I got pretty comfortable in like a business sense. Being able to picking up like the business acumen and finance acumen. So when I left there, I left thinking that I left there thinking I knew more than I did really know, and then you kind of get out and you do run your own business in its entirety and not just one little facet of it like finance, which is what I got really comfortable with at Sikorsky. Yeah. You realize how much more there is to it, how much more kind of how much broader it is to run an entire company, albeit very small. You have to like the things we talked about, the design,
wear a lot
packaging,
of hats.
all the logistics of delivery, legal, marketing, advertising.
And then you have to all of a sudden become a professional at all of those things. So you have to a lot of those things are self-taught that you picked up just
exactly.
And also leading a team of a bunch of different people involved and
for sure.
And clients or
vendors,
partners and vendors. How long were you building the company while at Sikorsky?
Yeah, that's a real good question. I didn't leave Sikorsky until I think June of 2014, but this company I started in 2012, so 2 years. And then my last 6 months there, I actually was only working 2 days a week.
Okay, so you weaned them off.
Yeah,
cool.
Weaned them off.
Slow wean.
Which was actually, again, going back to those two dudes that really like helped guide me while I was there and taught me just a ton about business and finance, who I was really lucky to have them. I actually did quit. This is kind of embarrassing. I did quit and was like, I'm going for it, whole like, full-fledged into this, low likelihood of success business with the jerky, and they actually kind of like sat me down, the one dude, and kind of taught me back into coming back, which was awesome.
And was that to be part-time still, or
that was
were you still working?
What did we do at that point? I think he got me. That was still to stay full-time, because I think I wanted to jump ship even way before I went part-time. And then I stayed, so I stayed full-time for maybe another 6 months, and then finally I thought it was the right time. We had some really cool things, big things happening that I thought were going to really pay off, and they did in a way. One of them was like this thing that we were in at the Wells Fargo Center for all the Flyers games and Eagles games.
Yeah.
I thought that was going to be a huge contract for us, so I thought it was the right time to leave, and then they convinced me again just to go part-time, and and at the time I didn't really agree with them, but it was a good paycheck, and like I said, it was only 2 days a week.
And you trusted these guys.
And I did trust these guys, and I just thought I could sweat it. I mean, at that point in time, I was working, I'd work 10-hour days there, and then come home and do like 4 or 5 hour days building this company and the brand and everything. So it did get pretty, and weekends we would only, always be doing events and traveling to try to sell jerky and whatnot.
Yeah.
So it was a pretty stressful time to be working two basically, pretty full-time jobs.
When you were at your real job?
Yeah.
What was one of the most motivational things for you to get out of there? Was it like to go make more money in your other job, or were you just genuinely just had an itch all day long at this other job? Like, was your heart in a different place at that time?
Yeah, it was. My first few years there, I was so into aerospace. My dad's been in aerospace for like 40 years.
Yeah.
And I basically became like, a little aerospace nerd, and it was cool, and that was my passion. And so for the first few years there, it was easy to work tons of hours, and I probably wasn't even getting, in my first years there, I wasn't making, I was just out of college, wasn't making a ton of money.
You're just in the arena.
Yeah, but I don't know, that's a good question. I think it wasn't money, for sure.
Yeah.
There's way more money working in
Yeah.
aerospace
Okay.
than,
That's what I figured. That's why I kind of
jerky.
posed that.
I think I just kind of got to this point where I hated the idea that, even though I didn't mind it in my 20s, like the idea that I would be working for someone else forever,
Yeah.
and not have the freedom just to like drop whatever, and like just not have the freedom to always be bound to like a job, to have to be at a job at a certain time every day, instead of just being able to pick up and go travel somewhere for a long. At the same time, I was dating a
person.
I was dating another human who was living in Germany at the time. Or she lived in Germany all the time, and so that was another sort of point of like getting out as like full-time German. So that was another driving force of just being able to get out, go, being able to travel.
Yeah.
And kind of still work, remotely on this project, which I couldn't really do in a real world job, in a big boy job.
Yeah. Now. Yeah, that's all interesting
but
to me.
I think
like,
the other main thing though is like the creative aspect of just creating stuff. Like I got my, I was a finance dude there, but my favorite thing there was like creating crazy new models that would help solve problems within, within the business, the finance portion of the business there. And I got really good at that, as coming up with new, tools and stuff there. So I do like creating stuff, and I do like, joking around a lot, as you kind of know. But like this was, so creating like a side business, I had a couple that I attempted before that, and we kind of just let fizzle out. This one was actually kind of in my wheelhouse because it was, a manufacturing, it's a at the end of the day, it's kind of like a manufacturing and branding business, and I had the manufacturing experience from Sikorsky. Going into the branding side was kind of new, but that's what I studied a ton of in college, and like where my real passion was creating fake fake names and fake brands and fake companies.
So fly fishing, aerospace, jerky, and fake stuff. That's your wheelhouse.
I like creating phony stuff. Yeah.
All right, cool. I like that. Give me some examples of the companies that fizzled out, if you feel privy to do so. I want to know, because everyone has those stories. You know, some people forget them, but like they're the reason why something like this is succeeding now.
Right. So the one that I thought I was gonna be like an overnight billionaire for, I will not tell you about because I'm still working on it. No, I'm kidding. That one, I'll tell you some about it. That one was almost like a social app on a calendar, like the GUI or the user interface was a calendar.
Yeah.
So you could see, it's almost, I don't know if you use Microsoft Outlook or if you use Google Calendar or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's essentially like that, but it'd be dumbed down and it'd basically be with your friends. So you could say like, so you could look at your group, so you had like your 4 or 5 best friends.
Yeah.
Or even, your girlfriend or whatever. You could kind of overlay calendars for the day or for the week or for the month over each other. And kind of see
stressful though.
And kind of see like, is there an opening for
us
to hang out, or you could easily.
I like that.
Yeah, it was all. I mean, I hope someone does it because it would be awesome.
So you're an idea guy. You got stuff, and you want to bring it to the world on your own. That was where Sikorsky, yes. Sikorsky, you felt a little limited, and you were doing well, but you're like I need to flex my idea muscle, and it's also that you said that you like making new stuff, and there's also something invigorating about like the fear of whether or not that's gonna work or not. Where
that's
like
true.
you have to like your company's gonna work. That your job. It's probably gonna work out either way. But like there's a fulfillment in making something from scratch with people you love and making sure it's a success.
Right. I think there's also I'm a little bit and I think other entrepreneurs probably have this too, is like enjoying the unknown sort of.
Yeah,
like
the uncertainty.
The uncertainty for sure. And like at Sikorsky, I saw like the next 10 years pretty laid out. And a lot of people a lot of people might look at it and be like, "Wow, that would have been awesome." Like that's not good career.
Some personalities, that's boom. That's the dream.
It's not a bad thing or anything.
Yeah.
It's just the differences of like, people's what they really kind of want or where they feel comfortable. And I just I kind of like the idea of risking it all.
And there's probably a listener right now that's like saying, there's two different listeners. There's ones that's saying, Sabosky, your first job is the dream scenario.
Right.
There's another listener that's saying, wow, I want to feel that. I want to wake up every single day and have that feeling of like something's my own and I'm eating off of it. My children, they are going to eat off of this someday. Now, when you made that transition, was everyone in your life circle supportive of it, or did you catch any friction?
Oh, there's, I don't know how your mom is, but my mom...
She's a mother.
She thought it was crazy. She still thinks it's crazy.
Yeah. She's my mother then.
Yeah. For the most part, at least the people that are close to me, except for my mom, like they supported it 100%.
Yeah.
They know I had a pretty... It's not just... I won't say they supported it because it's like, follow your dreams, son. It's not like that at all. It was...
It's exciting.
I worked myself into a position where I could do it, take the risk.
It was mitigated.
Try it for a year and not, if it didn't work out, I wouldn't be in too bad a place. I had saved a ton of money.
Yeah.
I own my house and a lot of that rent is, paid for by the other folks that live there. So it was, my car was paid for. I didn't have a lot of expenses at the time.
Yeah.
So it was like, at that point, when I left, I had enough savings and sort of the business was barely big enough to generate like a little bit of profit, basically that I could. And you had a feeling of success like up to that point. There was no. I left there because I felt like the business wasn't going to get where it needed. The jerky business wasn't going to get where it needed to go if I was always like one foot on both sides of the
Yeah,
fence.
yeah.
So I felt at one point like, all right, we got it.
It's either one or
if
the
it's
other.
gonna happen, I got to go full fledged and like make it happen.
Yeah.
And like put it on the line and make that sort of like my mission or my everyday job is to grow this business. And I didn't feel like I'd ever have that, not just having to be at the office, but the idea that I have a backup plan if the jerky doesn't work
Yeah.
out. I needed that sort of back against the wall, that back against the wall
feeling.
sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, most of the people I'm close with knew that we had something good, that I could figure out how to make it work, and like I said, that it was mitigated. Like if everything went to shit, it's not like I was gonna be out on the street.
You're able to figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Now it's funny that you bring up your mother, because like in most mothers' defense, when they were our age, it was so much harder to start something on your own. Like there was so much more overhead. You couldn't just create a website and a brand with out of thin air like you can in 2016.
Yeah.
So it's scary.
God bless the internet. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going a little longer than anticipated, which is totally fine. Are you cool with some wrap up questions here?
Sure.
All right. If you were to graduate today, knowing what you know now, what would your next 3 months of life look like?
I would say, this probably sounds pretty lame. I actually think it's good to graduate. I know this is like an entrepreneur go get 'em podcast.
Yeah. I mean, no, it's not. It's not. It's just offering,
right.
So
yeah,
perspectives.
Right. So what I think is like, I think it's great. I hear so many people that, they have their idea, and they just want to go out and do it, and I think that that's great. But I think that you actually have to kind of you got to have a plan, and I think that you kind of have to have a skill set too that will give you the chance to be successful.
To execute that plan.
Exactly. And I think that just having like the spirit and the motivation, that is huge and goes such a long way, but you need like a solid skill set and a solid execution plan in whatever you do, and I don't know if I know I didn't have that when I came out of college.
Yeah.
Like
so
I studied for 5 years. Yeah. And when I came out, I think I learned more in my first 3 months of working for someone,
seeing the way a business operated,
exactly.
Being on the inside looking out.
I think that experience is really invaluable.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily. I mean, you can have experience in any sort of. I mean, mine was in a business sense, and that's kind of what I've always been into. But I mean, whatever you want to do, as long as you get I think you should get experience from an established business within that industry.
Yeah.
Just to get the context of how that industry kind of works, and learn from someone that's either doing really well in it or learn from their mistakes.
Yeah.
But just being around it before you try to tackle it yourself, because I don't know, man. I think a kid coming out of college without much experience is gonna have a rough time.
Yeah. You gotta kind of like see the way other sailors operate their ships,
right.
And then you can go and mix and match and take some of the things that you liked, the things that you didn't like, and no, I love that answer. I'm just so you know, I'm not anti traditional job at all.
Right.
I'm anti doing something because you think the rest of the world wants you to do it.
For sure.
I'm pro doing whatever's going to give you the most growth and learning and experience in this world.
Our hashtag is write your own rules, man.
I love it.
Righteous felon.
I love it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the other thing too, though, is this kind of contradicts exactly what I just said, which I also do a lot.
Which I'm great at.
But like, I look back at after being in business for myself. For a couple years now, and then actually working in, when I was working at an office job, those are the times when I look back at college and I was like, man, why the fuck did I not go to that class?
Yeah.
Like,
oh my
This
goodness.
would be so perfect right now if I just knew how to do that. If I went to that quantitative forecasting, whatever. And so like one of my like I would appreciate college so much more now if I could go.
I'm with you 1,000%.
And things would make so much more sense. Like I remember sitting in some of those classes, like I just described, like, you know, quantitative forecasting methods. And I just remember like drooling, looking at, you know, the Indian professor talk about things, like it looked like he was mapping out the stars.
Yeah.
in like a galaxy on these charts.
Yeah,
and
I
I had
can
no
imagine.
clue, but now I know, like, as I'm trying to figure certain things out for, you know, for my business, I'm like, shit, that's what that dude was talking about, and I should have listened. I wish I could go back. And,
but it's hard to. You're right. Like I wish there was a way for people to have more experience before education.
Right. So that was my ultimate point. Is like maybe it does make sense to get out there for a year, 2 years, whatever, work for a while, and realize. And then when you go and sit in class and you're learning this stuff, instead of like, you know, just waiting to get out and go to a party or whatever, which is kind of what, you know, that's kind of what I did. You're actually into it, and you're like, okay, this is definitely going to help me with X, Y, and Z when I get back to my job on, you know, whatever.
And the podcast, you know, it is called, you know, the graduation series, 12 days of graduation, and you know, the word can be applied to a high school graduating, a senior, or anyone going through a transition, like a job. You know, you're graduating an experience, you're leaving an experience going into a new one. So all these perspectives and you know, just from your experience are fantastic.
Yep.
Now, if you were given a $500 gift, a $500 graduation gift, right?
Yeah.
What would you do with that? Would it go towards a business? Would it go towards traveling? Would it go towards fly fishing utilities?
I'd probably start up my artisan fly fishing tying business again. $500. I don't know if I could travel to the place I want to go with 500.
Where would you go? Where's the place you want to go? What's on the tip of your tongue?
I want to get down to South America. We basically someone was offended with our habanero jerky. It's called habanero Escobar.
Yeah.
It's kind of named after Pablo Escobar, and some people take a lot of offense to that. And we recently were violently invited through an email from a Colombian to come to their country. So I wanted to go there anyways.
Wait. What does violently invite? I don't think those two words are like supposed to be paired together.
We get these emails from
violently invited.
We have a pretty believe it or not, there's a controversial beef jerky brand out there, and it's us. We get like
you're the Kanye West of jerky.
Yeah, we get like emails of people just like, you guys are rock stars, so cool, this and that. And then we get these ones where people are like, you guys, you should be burned at the stake. Like, how can you glorify a villain like, Pablo Escobar, who thousands of people still grieve like his actions and stuff like that. And I do get that. I get that perspective, and we all do, and we discuss it a lot, and we try to figure out like what we if maybe we are doing the wrong thing or whatnot, but we're not glorifying Pablo Escobar. We simply have made a flavor name that refers to him. A reference is not a glorification.
Yeah.
It's simply signifying.
That's interesting.
It's signaling that this is a mean flavor that's not to be fucked with. It's habanero and cayenne pepper, be forewarned. But it's crazy just how much, and that's the one part of like our brand that we talk about a lot amongst ourselves, is like people get fired up about a beef jerky brand. Like you said earlier, like it's just dead animal and spices.
Yeah.
People are fired up out there.
Yeah.
And it's
that means you're doing something right, man.
And that's crazy that even if it goes the other way where people are like, this is so awesome, like I love the brand, like criminally crafted for the unlawful appetite. That's like one of our things. Like people love that shit, and it's amazing that someone can go to a store, buy something. Like I can't think of any other products at the grocery store that people go to the store, invoke that much emotion, where they feel obligated to get online, find your email address, and write you a page email.
I don't like emailing people I like, let alone like taking the time to email someone just to tell them I don't like the way they package something up.
And then on the flip side, you get the hate mail too, and it's just amazing. It's like it's it's like, I'm not comparing us to Kanye at all, but it's like,
Go ahead, baby.
You know how people,
brag, baby.
you know how people go, like, they'll go either way with him, and some will like roast him and some will say he's the greatest artist of all time. It's amazing that this stupid dead animal spiced and dried out in a bag is just starting like that type of discussion. I think.
All right, if you were to give a graduate one book, what would that book be?
Oh man, I give one book to a lot of people, but it has no significance to to a graduate. One of my probably my favorite book is called Triumph of the City, and it's kind of like an economics book, but it's that sounds so bad. I shouldn't even. It sounds so boring.
No, I love it. I love it. I'm on it.
It's more just about. It's about how like human civilization has migrated to cities like through the thousands of years, and how cities have risen in power and fallen in power, and what builds the next greatest city, and how technology and infrastructure kind of shape those things, as well as education. It's just like this crazy. It's almost like a philosophical economics book. So it's pretty wild. It's by Edward Glasner. For an entrepreneur, like for a business person, I think like probably the best. And I read a ton of. My family kind of throws shade, as you would say, on me for not reading. All I read is nonfiction. Like I just read.
Dude, crush nonfiction.
Yeah. But there's a really good book called Blue Ocean Strategy. It's kind of a famous sort of business strategy book, but it's phenomenal. Oh God.
No, I love it, man. I love these are all books I've never heard of, so it's perfect.
Yeah, Blue Ocean Strategy is awesome, and that one, the crux of that one is just, as a business, particularly a small business, you can't try to go up against Goliath, or against like a super crowded market without being incredibly different. Yeah. And really, you don't want to go to that market at all if it's already saturated with competition. So it's really about finding opportunities for your product or for your brand or for your service or whatever it is that don't currently exist, or where there's where the competition is like really weak. Okay. And so for us, that was basically like when we started our products, or kind of how that book helped us shape like our products, is we weren't going to, most food companies are going to grocery stores and convenience stores and stuff trying to sell their beef jerky. We would go to places that you would never even expect there to be beef jerky, and therefore you're the only one on the shelf, so you're not competing with like 30 other options. The buyer's also stand out. Yeah, the buyer also is like, yeah, we don't have any of this yet. Why not? So like we would kind of catch them off guard, like, well, yeah, I never thought about selling beef jerky here, and maybe I should. And so instead of competing against the 30, 40 other strong brands that are out there and that have competitive advantages on you from like a cost perspective and logistics perspective, you're only fighting against yourself. And that's the crux of the book, and it kind of expands a lot on that, but I think it could be applied to anything, really.
That's strong to quite strong. That's strong to quite strong. Now, what is your how would you define success? What does that mean to you?
I don't think most entrepreneurs are ever really like satisfied. We're like, oh shit, we finally made it. Let's wrap it up. I'm just gonna chill on the beach for the next.
Sit over here and not pay attention. Yeah.
So I think success is like really just biting off kind of more than you can chew. Yeah. And like multiple times in life, and then kind of like getting through it somehow.
Figuring out how to digest it all.
That's exactly. Yeah. And because then you're just gonna want, at least I think a lot of people, once they achieve, once they get through that and they're like, holy shit, like I thought I was in over my head there, and I was able to do it. Now it's like, what's the next challenge? Let's make it a bigger one. I mean, that was kind of like when we got my first sort of like business endeavor, I guess, was with a good friend of mine. Right after we got out of college, we worked for 6 months and saved all every penny, and then bought this big old house down in Westchester that was basically falling over. It was like this decrepit old. Yeah. I don't know how it was not condemned, and we got in and we wanted to fix it up, and we were just in so over our heads it wasn't even funny, like to the point where we were like panicking and depressed and stuff like 3 months in, and we finally, through a lot of help with friends and family, like, helping us get through it, just with like hard labor, that was like the biggest achievement of my life up till that point. And I was like 23.
Just
and then we got
finding solutions in that
house
situation.
And the house ended up being, it's an awesome, like, newly renovated, sweet ass house in Westchester, and it's been awesome because that's been like the way, the point of that was to have, all of our friends live there after college, because we all went to different colleges, and now we got a spot where we can, habitate.
Hit this next chapter up.
Exactly. Yeah. But it was like, that was the first time in my life that I was like, I bit off way more than I could chew. And then, this is kind of the second one, and I don't think we're through the darkness or the tunnel yet, but like there's, I think we'll make it. But it's that sort of like, having that excitement is what I think is the success. It's like the risk of not knowing if you're gonna, make it out.
All right, so I'm gonna let you go and get back to your business here, but thank you so much for hanging with us, Brendan.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
One last question. All right, if you were, I like putting yourself in this storyline here. So you're responsible for putting a fortune cookie on every single chair of every single kid that's graduating either high school or college this year, right? And you get to write the little fortune that's in it's going to be in that cookie when they open it up. What are those words?
I love the quote. Don't take life too seriously. You'll never get out alive.
So something.
Because I think it's I think people get pretty caught up in. I did. You just get caught up in certain things, and you think it's the end of the world.
Yeah.
And that the world's kind of crashing around you, and really it's you'll get through everything with time. And just perseverance, I guess.
Cool, man. All right, where can our listeners go to find your craft jerky?
You can always get it online at righteousfelon.com. We do free shipping on everything. And then as far as if you're looking for it in a store, we sell a ton. Between New York and in DC, we sell at a lot of beer stores, a lot of natural grocery stores, a lot of universities, golf courses, things like that. So just keep your eyes out for the brown bag, and
if it's not there, ask them for that.
Yeah, ask them.
Tell them, Righteous Felon, I want the Escobar.
What do you mean you don't carry Righteous Felon?
What do you mean? I want to talk to a manager. Send them a nasty email. Yeah. Righteous Felon. I'm going to try. I haven't tried any. Can I have a bag or what's up?
You got some money on you?
That's cute. That's cute.
Yeah, I got you some of everything. So.
All right, great. So righteousfelon.com and ask your local distributor or whatever.
Yeah.
If they have it. And thank you for your time, man.
Ask them why not.
All right, that is our time. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed that podcast, please go to iTunes podcast, look up Boyder Do You, and hook me up with some stars. I would appreciate it. It would help us do our thing and keep these coming on a consistent basis. Remember to follow Brendan at Righteous Felon on IG, Twitter, and Facebook. And shout out our new production assistant for the Do You podcast, Braden Stone. He told me that he's got some bonus audio he wants to add at the end. So give it a listen. Thank you for hanging, and have a fantastic weekend.
I mean, for our parents, they still grew up in that time period where the American dream was really to go to college, to get a job, to get a pension.
Yeah.
To work at the same place for 30, 40 years.
Time out. What's a pension?
I actually have one.
Do you? What does that mean?
I don't know. I think it's like a 401k, but mine's like.
What's a 401k? Yeah, I know. I'm showing my my knowledge here. But it was so funny. Another guest that's on the series, Thais. I remember walking into her.
She went to Downtown too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh shoot. Yeah. You guys are probably the same age.
Flavor Slangers. Yeah, she was in my grade. She was in my class.
What are the like, I want to know the teachers.
I gotta reach out. I want to do a habanero jerky cupcake. I've been meaning to talk to her about that.
She's around the corner, dog. We can make that happen. I just want 10%.
I just try to avoid that place because I'll pound those cupcakes and then my face gets all hot and then I just pass out when I get home.
Yeah, nah. Oh man, I love that. But that was the same thing that she said. No, I walked into the cupcake joint and I was like, what's a pension? Like I heard the word and I was like, I feel like I should know that. And I was just like, I feel like as an entrepreneur, you just like make savings. You know, you just figure out. You make homemade pensions.
Right. Well, back in the day, and maybe I got this wrong. Back in the day, because people would work for the same companies or for the city or the state for 30, 40 years.
Yeah.
They would when they retired, if you worked there for a certain amount of time, the pension would be like, so say you made $5,000 a month, or just say you made $100,000 a year to keep it easy.
Thank you.
So they would, once you retired, you would get some percentage of that kind of paid out to you since you weren't working anymore, so that you could retire on it, basically. And maybe during the time that you were working, they would pull a little bit out of your pay each month and put it towards the pension fund, so that it was there for you when you retired.
Cool. So you could, as an entrepreneur, you can do a homemade pension, right? You can.
That is correct.
You could. All right, cool. That makes me feel good. Hopefully, that makes some listeners feel good. All right, cool. Well, let's jump back in now. Where were we? I have no idea. I wasn't listening. I was actually thinking about Kobe from last night. But
60, man, that was crazy.
That was crazy.
I stayed up to watch the Warriors. And then they switched over to Kobe, and they were like, Kobe has 56 points in his last. I was like, what?
Yeah. Oh man, that was insane. I was on my couch, and I was like, I can't believe I'm just cheering and screaming for Kobe Bryant right now. You know.
And then I was like, my little brother is like the guy who I talk the most basketball with. We used to hoop together all the time. And I texted him this morning, or he just texted me, yo, you have to look up Steph Curry's highlights last night. And I'm like, yeah, I was watching the game. And he's like, and I wrote back to him, I was like, but dude, Kobe had 60 in his last game ever. And he goes, yeah, but he took 50 shots. And it's just like, dude, don't be that guy. That, continues to hate on Kobe after he's gone.
No, it was so fun to watch. I was sitting there drinking wine in my boxer. It's just like, I couldn't help it. I was like, I want this dude. Well, at one point he had like 46, and you were cheering for 50, and there was like 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes left.
I know.
And you were just cheering for 50, and then all of a sudden, like, they actually made this like 10-point swing, and they won it, and it was such a Hollywood way to go out.
Yeah, I saw apparently Shaq whispered to him like before the game. Shaq was like, "Go for 50 on him," or no, what was it? Oh, Shaq, apparently, there was a quote from Shaq, and he was like, man, I told him to go for 50. That motherfucker went for 60. That was great.
Typical Shaq form.
Yeah. But the funny thing is, Steph had 46 and only played 3 quarters.
Yeah, casually.
Casually. He would have had 65 on the night, and no one would have talked about Kobe.
Imagine if Steph Curry took 50 shots in a game.
So then me and my brother started arguing, and I started looking up the box scores. Like I was like, Kobe, like he was saying Kobe took 50 shots. I was like, dude, he's still, it was still 44%. Like that's a pretty high hit rate. Yeah. And then, like, I wanted to compare it to Steph, and I looked at Steph, and Steph shot, like, 65% last night.
Well, it was 3 point. Like, they did do a stat last night. It was 3-pointers. He was, like 10%. And then, like, from two range, like, It was like...
The thing is, man...
Yo, he looks in pain.
Just to get 50 shots
He looks so in pain.
Like, a lot,
It was, like, sad. It made me feel old. I'm like, damn, like, I remember this sprightly, like... Superman, like you're watching him nimble. I think I was more emotional because it made me feel old.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
All right. Enough sports. Let's get back into it. So, this is what I want you to do. 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 This is what